Alright, what do we have here? They're so happy to see each other. Is romance still continuous? Could be. Actually, I'm surprised, guys, with this visit that it is happening now, by the time Donald Trump is saying how bad Russia behaves. Is it all just the dust and ice and Donald Trump really wants just to maintain good relations with Putin? Well, yes and no. From one side, Trump really wants to have good relations with Putin, he respects Putin, but on the other hand, Putin is basically playing with Trump and everyone understands that. And just recall how it was before, during the first term of Donald Trump, how he intensified the tensions between the United States and North Korea, and later on in a few days they were like best friends or something. Yeah, after all, Donald Trump failed with North Korea because North Korea intensified the production of its military and nuclear program is full scale there. They already acquired the nuclear weaponry, so it's failed achievement. But Donny, of course, says that if it wasn't him, there would be a huge war. And this meeting is already over. Witkoff is going back to the United States. He received the new portion of the brainwash from Putin from his FSB circle. So he's coming again to Donny with those big eyes, with all of those promises from Russia. And Witkoff is just a businessman, realtor, friend of Donald Trump. He's not even close to diplomacy. That's why I think that he doesn't have understanding of what he is dragged into, dragged by Putin, by the way. And before, Witkoff mentioned, repeating Russian propaganda, that Ukraine should give up its territories to Russia, those Russian-speaking regions. He said about it in his interviews. Putin and his friends, they're pretty much experienced in brainwashing people. And of course, Witkoff is brainwashed every time he visits Russia. In his interview to Tucker Carlson, he also repeated the same narratives. He even mentioned the bullshit about the NATO expansion. So the thing is whether Donny is going to listen to Witkoff and believe him, because he will 100% sugarcoat Putin and Putin's regime. Because of that, I think that there is the chance that Donald Trump would postpone the sanctions introduction on Russia for next maybe 50 days or 100 days, we'll see. But people in the United States of America and those guys who continue to support Donald Trump, they wouldn't understand this move. That's why I would say that there is the higher chance for Donald Trump to apply sanctions on Russia after all.
Mr. President, what do you want to build? What are you trying to build?
What he tried to build, Mr. President, he answered, missiles.
Sir, do you approve?
Nuclear missiles. It's kind of the strange way to communicate with journalists from the roof without microphone. Okay. I think that Donny was a little disappointed with the decision of Russia to exit the moratorium for short and middle-range ballistic missiles. So Russia may start the development of the new systems and create a threat for European allies of the United States or Asian allies. Also, Donny is still disappointed with Russian nuclear threats, which are coming from the Russian propaganda and personally from Dmitry Medvedev. Somehow Medvedev was able to reach the heart of the president of USA. Right, here we go with the first reaction from the Russian side. Advisor of Putin Ushakov already told that the conversation was useful and constructive. Okay, we have sent some signals from our side and received some signals from Trump. Signals. By the time I'm recording this video, Donald Trump haven't commented yet this meeting. But I'm sure he will do it very fast, because there will be the phone conversation between Witkoff and Trump right after the meeting. Kirill Dmitriev, the negotiator from the Russian side, high-rank Russian official and also Putin's friend, wrote in his tweet, "Thank you all for your kind wishes for a successful visit of Witkoff to Moscow. Dialogue will prevail." So yeah, for now we don't have lots of the insights from the meeting, and officials, like main officials Putin and Trump, they haven't mentioned anything yet.
Mr. Witkoff, did you reach any agreement?
Did you reach any agreement, or have you reached something? Well, Witkoff just refused to answer those questions. He went back to the airport. This is the embassy of the United States in Moscow. He visited it after a meeting with Putin and other Russian officials and going to fly to United States to meet Trump personally, I guess. Based on that, I would say that they haven't reached any sort of the agreement. Well, yesterday I read the article that Russia wants to implement the air truce in Russian-Ukrainian war, so no more Shahids, no more cruise missiles, no more hypersonic missiles. The information was published by Bloomberg, and actually Ukraine before proposed the same, the ceasefire in skies and on water. But later on, Ukraine agreed on Donald Trump's proposal for the 30-day ceasefire, complete ceasefire on the ground as well. But Russia rejected it, and what they want to show to Donald Trump that Russia is closer to peace, but in fact they will just post their strikes, accumulate lots of the Shahid drones, lots of the cruise missiles, and will launch those in a few months. And next, Donald Trump may even call it a mistake of Russia, as he called the strike on Sumy and many more cities of Ukraine. Yeah, just a Russian mistake. What is interesting that Zelensky yesterday spoke with Donald Trump before Witkoff's visit, so Donald Trump probably will have the full picture from both of the sides. I'm just not sure whether he is competent enough to make a proper decision, good decision, not just for Ukraine but for USA as well. Yesterday, Donald Trump mentioned that if the oil price is reduced by at least $10, Putin may stop the war. I think it's a delusional assumption, honestly, because the oil prices, they're not constant, they fluctuate throughout the year for more than $10. A few months ago it was 50, now it's close to 70. $10 per barrel doesn't really matter, and Russia is capable to get oil from their ground very cheap. Well, not as cheap as Saudis take their oil out, but Russians still, they earn a lot. And it really doesn't matter what they might put in their yearly budget, I mean the oil price, after all they will have the income. And you see Putin is cancelling the social care and other government programs just to finance his military. He is full in this war, and if it requires for Putin to announce a new mobilization or put economy at the war rails to continue the war, he will do it. That's what I think for Donald Trump is hard to understand, that Putin is not willing to make peace until he reaches his goal to occupy entire Ukraine. Well, Donny said not long time ago, so maybe Putin wants to occupy Ukraine fully, but it might cost him lots and lots of the lives and resources and so on. Yeah, Donny, it's like that. Putin really wants it to happen. He wants to occupy Ukraine, and he wants Ukraine to fight for him, his ambitions, to reincarnate the Soviet Union or Russian Empire. Well, Financial Times say that Donald Trump is going to provide new sanctions against the Russian oil shadow fleet. We'll see, I hope it happens, because before United Kingdom introduced the same sanctions as well as the European Union. But the problem is that Russia is always searching for the way outs of how to bypass those sanctions. So sanctions definitely, they work. They make the situation for Russia harder and Russia gets less money. But after all, United States, European Union, it's not monopoly in the world any longer. There are many countries in the world that are neutral to Russia and also support Russia, like India, China, sometimes Brazil. That's why the sanctions are not playing that huge role as it was before. So the main thing is to push Russia on the ground, supporting Ukrainian army. And here we have some positive signs. Let's listen to the ambassador of the United States in NATO.
I want to thank the people and the government of the Netherlands for their leadership in launching this delivery of life-saving munitions and equipment for Ukraine. This delivers on President Trump's initiative.
So yes, Netherlands are purchasing the large amount of the ammunition, Patriot missiles, and will send those to Ukraine. Awesome news, great initiative. I am very happy that we have light but progress here. We also have fantastic news that Pentagon has approved the selling of the components for M777 artillery systems, maybe systems themselves. Plus there is the new package of investment into logistics to supply those military goods to Ukraine very fast. But unfortunately, guys, it's not even close to what it was with the previous White House administration. I mean, direct military support of Ukraine by United States, and not via European allies, because first of all, everyone should be united to support Ukraine, because Ukraine is like the shield for Europe, and I guess it's also interest of the United States itself to support Ukraine. But after all, those are the good news compared to what it was a few months ago. Then Donald Trump was almost fully following Russian steps, so I see the positive change and I hope that Ukraine will get more weaponry. A new poll in the United States by The Telegraph, so Zelensky is actually way more popular than Donald Trump. Oh my god, Elon Musk lost so much popularity, so it's the ratio between approval and disapproval rating of politicians and famous figures. Bernie Sanders, 11%? Wow, I'm surprised here. But anyways, I think Donny understands now that 4% of Zelensky's rating, which he mentioned a few months ago, is not true. Zelensky has way more approval than Donald Trump, and Donny started to lose his rating after he became so harsh towards Ukraine few months ago. Okay, what we have here is the statement of Wang Yi, the Minister of the Foreign Affairs of China. Just gonna drop me down a little for you to see the headline. Well, what they say here that there are two sides who also exchanged views on Ukrainian crisis. They call it not the war but crisis. That is the Russian rhetorics, by the way. Crisis in Ukraine, Russia says, but in Russia there is no crisis. Everything is fine with Russia, with the Russian men who are fighting in Ukraine. Well, here Chinese officials say that Russia and Ukraine have already begun negotiations, taking an important step forward. It's nothing. Those negotiations between Ukraine and Russia in Istanbul, those are fake negotiations. Russia uses that to cancel the military support from the United States. Ukraine uses that to keep the military support. That's the main goal of those negotiations. Well, as a small outcome, we have the exchanges of the prisoners of war. That's the only good thing. But it's not an important step forward in resolving the war itself. The current crisis resolution process has reached a critical juncture. It's far from it. I would say that we are not even at the middle of this war. So yeah, absolute delusional statement from Wang Yi, who spoke with Brazilian President Chief Special Advisor Amorim on the phone, and this is the outcome. They discussed also Ukraine. What some people noted today that Putin looked a little different compared to his latest meeting with Lukashenko. Well, I may say it's different lighting, different makeup, maybe some extra Botox injections. And definitely Putin today was shining like tomato. My friends, thank you for your kind support on Patreon. By doing so, you motivate me to film more and more videos. And as usual, just press the like to this video. By doing so, you also help me a lot. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.